Are the holidays just getting a bit too much? Are you just having a bit of a bad day? Stick around with me in this video and let's have a chilled repot session. We can practice some mindfulness, we can relax our brain for a bit and just enjoy ourselves whilst doing some planty chores. Hi, my name is Memo, this is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see some of this behind me, it's tropical houseplants. So today's video is going to be a bit different. So I thought, because I know there's a lot of people out there during the holiday season, during Christmas, during whatever time of the year, this isn't just exclusive for this time of the year, this could be viewed at any different time, that things just get a bit much. As I said in previous videos, I have still suffer myself with a lot of anxiety. I used to get panic attacks as well. And I know the importance of just taking a few moments for yourself and how beneficial that could be for you. If you are during the holiday season, your family might be getting a bit too much, the whole thing might be getting a bit too much, or you might not have anybody really to spend this time with, and you may be feeling a bit lonely. This is a video for all of us. And I encourage you during this video, as I said, it's just going to be a very chilled repot and chat with me. I'm going to let this run for however long it runs. I will tell you right now, there's not going to be an awful lot of very fancy editing in this video because I am filming this on a Sunday and I want to bring it out on the Monday before kind of Christmas Eve and all of these things so that people have got this available to them as a resource if they want it on Christmas Eve, on Christmas Day, on Boxing Day, any time of the year really. Obviously I'm doing this during the holidays, but any time of the year that you kind of need this, it's available to you to just sit there and kind of unwind and zen out, and we can talk rubbish and plants and just take our minds off things, because we all know how beneficial it is for us to just spend some time caring for our plants. So I encourage you during this video, grab a drink, get comfortable, maybe grab a plant if you want to do your own repotting, and yeah, let's dive into it. Right, and now that I've got you down at a lower level, because this is a great angle for me, I will move my basic white girl cup away, but I've got my own drink as well, so. But yes, essentially, I brought you all the way down here. As I said in the beginning, this is just a place for us to kind of disconnect, essentially, quieten our brain and just have a bit of a chat, a bit of a repot, and you don't have to worry about anything else. So, repots. I will do what every other YouTuber does and say, this is what I'm planning on doing. Whether or not we're going to get through all of it through this session, I don't know, but we shall see. So, one of the things I want to do is I have got this Paphipetalum, and I'll see if I can, I think it's Paphipetalum or I always used to call these Paphiopetulums. And it's a Paphipetalum, and it's a bit, I don't know if you can kind of see that, it's really not stable in the bark that it has. So I thought for this one, and this is the Paphipetalum Maui, I think, I can't remember, I'll see if I can put it at the top there, but it's the one with the really cool kind of almost checkerboard variegated type leaves and a really beautiful bloom that's kind of whitey, greeny, yellow. And I've had it in the past as well, so I've had this for a while now. It's always stayed relatively diminutive. The flower spike is usually quite tall, but in the bark it seems to be struggling a bit. So what I thought I'm going to do with this, can you see where I'm going with this? I'm going to put this into some of the anthurium and orchid, because I keep forgetting the anthurium and orchid mix from Soil Ninja. And I've been using it a lot for anthuriums, but I've never used it for an orchid. So this is going to be a bit of a test, because I'm going to have a lot of other orchids, Phalaenopsis orchids, that I'm going to want to move into that, but well, we'll see how it goes. But on the table I have got handy dandy little remote for swiveling the camera. The people that have been here for a while, they know what that is. I have got my little kind of soil scoop. I've got some pruners, and because it's my space, some rubbing alcohol for the mealybugs, because invariably there's going to be some mealybugs on this. Just giving you a heads up to begin with. But yes, the other thing that I want to do, and kind of one of the things that I've been leaving for the last couple of days, and this looks horrendous. Talk about the realities of plant care, and hopefully that's going to focus on me. This pathetic looking crawler, which has got so many dead bits on it that I need to get off. Believe it or not, it does actually have, I'll see if I can kind of get it up so you don't get blinded by the light that I've got there. This is my last remaining plowmanii, Philodendron plowmanii. So it is getting its last chance to survive, and I am breaking all of the rules. This has been in semi-hydro. I do not know, because this is not a clear pot, what the roots are going to look like, if there's any roots as well. So this might not get repotted if there isn't any roots. I'm going to be blunt. And for this is not got any roots, and it is the way that it is. I am not going to try, and whilst the grow light comes on the side, I'm trying to think now, is that good? Maybe it's a bit brighter actually. I might leave it. Hopefully it's not blowing me out too much. But yeah, if it hasn't got any roots, this is going to the compost gods. So yeah, let's see how this goes. But this I have got, because it's crawling out of a tiny pot, I have actually got a trough planter. So I'll do that. There might be some issues that I want to deal with in terms of, obviously this is only going to have root mass here, and there's going to be soil on this level, but I'll see. Again, that anthurium soil mix from Solninger, the part of the reason why I like it is because it's so forgiving with watering issues. Now, what else? Ah, yes. I do have this, and I'm going to see if I can kind of get maybe some of the stuff from my propagation bin. So this is looking really bad at the moment, considering how much I love this plant. This is the Anthurium erythromoides, and this was in semi-hydro for a long period of time. It was doing exceptionally well, but I was just like, I was moving a lot of my other Anthuriums into soil. I moved this into soil as well, and I do not think it liked the transition. Whether or not it didn't like the transition, or whether or not, because it's in a slightly different location now, people that know that I'm looking at mealybugs at the moment, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm going to go for broke with this plant and give it a moss pole, ironically enough, because it is getting very, like the janky support stick is doing the mostest, but it's not doing enough, I don't think. And this has got some mealybugs on it. Not a huge amount, but yeah. I think a bit of a moss pole, if for no other reason, maybe find some support, whether or not, I don't know, have any of you experienced this? Anybody who has put anthuriums on moss poles, yeah? And they've done it when the plant is already at a height. And I can see some aerial roots on this. Now I've done this with my Lutheri, not the Philodendron, the Lutheri anthurium. And it had significant kind of aerial roots, and I thought as soon as I give it a moss pole, it's going to attach, even on the ones that are further down below. It doesn't seem to have done it. And I'm trying to think now if I've ever managed to achieve that. I think I have with a Philodendron of kind of, do you see what I mean? Like if the leaves are up here and you've got the aerial roots and the nodes down here, if I give this a moss pole to a Philodendron, usually these other smaller aerial roots, or maybe new ones, will then activate and then attach to that moss pole. It doesn't just have to be at the very, very tippy top where the newest growth is. But the example of the one anthurium that I've put, no, I've got a couple of anthuriums now on a moss pole, but the example of that Lutheri, I don't know, I don't think it's attached. So I'll be curious if you've done something similar and you've done it in a similar way to what I'm talking about now. Did you always attach? Because mine is like struggling. I'm trying to figure out if it's the Lutheri being just a bit shit, or if it's just it won't do it, basically. So yes. Also, there's probably going to be some swearing in this video. I do apologise. But as I said, relaxed. It's not going to be a massively thought out video, but it's going to be one for all of us to have fun with. I'm fully expecting that there's probably not going to be that many people that watch this, but that's not the purpose of this video. This is, as I said, just to give us all some like decompression time. So, which one do I start? Let's start with the slightly easier stuff first. And what I will do, because otherwise this entire table that I've got here is going to get very, very messy. Let me do something. Ta-da's! Got my little cat litter tray, which is where I usually do my watering, but it's dry at the moment, so I will do most of my repotting in here just to see about how it's getting on. So let's see. Okay, I was expecting hardly any roots on this. And also this is another reason why I've got my little kind of snips on the side, because a lot of the times with orchids, even if you've given them the best care, you'll still get some crispy roots and you'll get some roots that are not living their bestest life, which is what I'm cutting off right now because I do not want them to rot, especially in the slightly denser mix. And it's not a dense mix, it's a slightly denser mix than what it would have normally had it have been in, is that right? Let me just snip it off there, maybe a bit more. Yeah, that's better. And I can show you after I cut off all the roots, all the like dried roots basically. So that's how little rootage there is on that plant there. So less than ideal, but as I said, it's been struggling to attach, and I don't know whether or not the reason why it's always stayed as small as it is because it's just never really attached properly, or if it's a plant that will stay diminutive, I don't know. But, and it's interesting, I don't know if anybody else has got this. Ooh, I've got one little plantlet that has come loose, and I will put that in, don't worry. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. Obviously, there's a lot of plants that are popular plants that you can find quite a decent level of information online. But then obviously, if you're getting a plant that not a lot of people have, even if it's within the same genus as a plant. So obviously, this is a Paphiopedilum. And I know there's content and videos and information out there and online about them, but I don't think I've ever found anything specific about this specific, how many times can I say specific? This specific Paphiopedilum anywhere else. So I don't know, yeah, there's a whole bunch, and I've been trying to change this, and I think you might have noticed this on my channel. I've been trying to change that kind of notion of, and this is no shade on any other YouTubers, but that kind of like super excited moment where I'm just like, I've got a plant, I need to show my audience, look at this plant, and then you never see that plant again. And it's just like, does that really, I mean, for me, that doesn't really serve much of a purpose, because it's just like, okay, there's a plant, you've got a new plant, it's a nice plant, like, but if I've got the same plant, I want to know where you're at 3 months, 6 months, 1 year down the line, which is why I started my review series. People that have been here for a while, they know that. But yes. So I don't know. It's been one of those things that's kind of always bugged me, and it's specifically when you come to the less popular plants, especially if you find some content or some video or something written about it that isn't just the kind of, I've just got something or here's some generic information on this plant. We need more high quality stuff. And not saying that the other stuff isn't high quality. I don't say this. Do not put words in my mouth. But you know what I mean. I need something of substance for this kind of stuff. So I mean, I probably need to start talking, because I'm gonna get myself into like a hole that I'm not going to be able to get myself out of, which is very common for me, by the way. So let's have a look. Whilst I'm doing this, how's everybody else's day going generally? If you want to share, let us know down in the comments below. Has it been a good day? Has it been a good week? Has it not? If you want to share, why not? Let us know down below. Hopefully, as I said, this is going to be a place where a lot of us can just chat a bit. You don't have to if you don't want to. You don't have to if you don't want to. This is meant to be a chilled session. So yes, so Anthurium soil mix. I don't know if I've shown this to you in a while, but there is definitely some orchid bark there, I promise. But this is very, very light. It's not the best thing in that very kind of, I think these are like pond pots. So they've got a lot of holes in them. So I did that wrong because the roots are actually quite deep on this and I want to stabilize it a bit. So I'm going to have to do that whilst it's in, if I'm being honest. So yes, I'll do it that way. That's probably the best way of doing it. Right. But yeah, one of the things that I've kind of discovered recently, which I'm finding so much fun, is, of all things, I think they're called K-dramas. Oh my god, oh my god. Anybody else that has been watching the K-dramas and is enjoying it, please do let me know down below, because I need to geek out with somebody about that. And nobody that I know watches it, and maybe it's just a me thing. I think they're a popular thing. And I've always kind of been more into kind of Japanese culture, and I've always watched like Japanese movies and series. And again, I don't know how many people know this about me. I speak a few languages. One of them, I haven't done it for a long time. So part of the reason why I watch Japanese movies, anime, things like that, is to kind of refresh my Japanese language, because I used to do Japanese many years ago, and I kind of want to get back into it. It's my ultimate bucket list place to visit, and I know there's a lot of content out there for people saying it's not what people imagine it, and it's very romanticized by the West. I get it. I've also been really looking into its culture and kind of what it's like there at the moment. And believe it or not, and this is specifically a comment for the Greeks that might find this quite interesting, they are very similar to us. A lot of the weird thing that the Greeks do, and the family thing and the over-politeness and all of these things, the Greeks do as well. It's hysterical that like Japan and Greece are kind of very similar on some of the cultural things. But yeah, K-dramas, loving the K-dramas at the moment. But yeah, that is repotted and ready to go. Specifically, which ones have I watched recently? I do romance, I like romance. This one has never been highbrow. I'm the same with books, if I'm honest. With books, I've always been under my kind of opinion on books, for me, by the way, is if I need to think, it's going to sound so bad. If I need to think and really kind of engage my brain, so I'm thinking highbrow literature, I'm not going to do it. I know myself too well. I'm never going to read a book that is like that, because, and it's going to sound dumb, I think, to most other people. I've started on the plowmanii, by the way. It's going to maybe sound dumb to some people, but I spend all of my day using my brain for the job that I do. I know this sounds dumb. Most people use their brains when they're doing their jobs. Yes, but I also used to like run a cafe, and I used to be a waiter, and I used to be a restaurant manager as well. And those jobs are mentally taxing as well. That's not taking away from them, but they're also very physically taxing, and that's the big thing there. But anyway, on to the mentally taxing jobs, the really heavily kind of like the ones that your brain is fried, but your body might be okay at the end of the day. Unlike possibly working some of the catering industry where your brain and your body are fried at the same time, so depending on how many Karens you need to deal with throughout the day. But yeah, it's the last thing I want to do when I get home and during my relaxation time is read heavy literature. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it at all, it's just not for me. I've tried and I just don't end up reading. And if it means I have to read kind of trashier, kind of lighter stuff, I don't care, I don't judge, and I quite like that stuff anyway. So yes, romance novels are a thing, and yes, before anybody asks, I have recently, actually, read Akatar, so did enjoy it, more so than I thought I was going to. But apologies for all of the pond sounds. And actually, I am surprised some of the roots on this are actually doing better than I thought they were going to do. But shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. It's going to be so unflattering, this video for me. Generally, I've got downwards angled camera words on a Sunday. And me shaking like a Polaroid picture is never a good thing. But I'm going to leave some of the pon on here, but actually, I'm trying to see if there's much root rot. I don't know if there is. This is the thing with the plowmanii, it's got very thin roots. There is going to be some root rot on here. I don't think all of this is root rot, and I will show you right there. But you know what? In for a penny, in for a pound. Either you survive, or you don't. So let's have a look. The reality is it probably won't, but see, this is the thing, it's a weird angle because you can see the plant pot was there and it started going down, so I'm going to have to plant it that way so it's sitting on the soil level and this can be up. That emerging leaf is been bashed and battered and I'm assuming that is going to reject at some point, but the growing tip is still, whilst I try not to break it, it's still there. So, right, where were we? What random things was I telling you about? Ah yes, romance novels, anime, Japanese, Korea, K-dramas. So yes, which ones have I watched? I have watched True Beauty, Island, My Demon. Oh, and I can't remember the one that I'm watching at the moment. I'll see if I can put it at the top now. But I'm really enjoying it, really enjoying it. I understand. It's very cool. If I've got any Korean viewers and you want to share, or anybody that might know this as well, I find it quite interesting because the K-dramas, at least the ones that I'm finding available on Netflix, are very long episodes. So you're looking at over an hour and a half, some of them as well. And I'm just like, wow, we have not had anything like this in the West for a very long time. So kudos to you for doing things well. Right, let me put this down for a moment. You don't even want to see the state of my floor right now. But yes, very specific trough planter. Funny story for you. I bought some of these off Amazon. I bought 4. And you know, I have no patience and I don't have a lot of attention to detail, generally speaking. I did not see the measurements and they are very long. And I'm just like, where this needs to live in my space, I do not have that much space. And this one's a bit too tall as well. I thought I had some other trough planters which are smaller, which would have been better for this, but I can't find them. It's also like building up to a storm out there and I really don't want to be dealing with going outside to try to get pots and stuff like that out of the shed. So it is what it is. Less than ideal, but I don't care. If you are watching this when it's the holidays, have you broken up yet? Have you started some time off? Are you getting any time off? I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think if you are and your job involves you using email in any way or form, how satisfying is it on that last day of work before you go away for a few days to just put that out of office on and just go, bye! I don't want to deal with you for the next few days. Enjoy! You're not my problem anymore. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, but you know what I mean. If it's relaxed time, it's relaxed time. Like I don't want to be dealing with work if I can help it. Doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my work. It just means that I need some downtime. And that's something I've learned over the years. As I've said, I've had different businesses that I've run for myself. And the one thing that was a learning moment for me across all of them is the value of taking downtime. Panic attacks were happening then, my stress levels were through the roof. Not saying that they're much better these days. I haven't had a touch wood. I've not had a panic attack in years, and hopefully I haven't jinxed that. But yeah, it is one of those things that if you're thinking about doing that, or if you are doing that and you haven't quite twigged on that one, for me, and I would imagine for a lot of people, remembering to take some downtime for yourself, especially if you're the only person in your business or you're one of a few people in your business, so you avoid burnout, is highly important. And I can say this until I'm blue in the face, and somebody could have told me this when I was doing it back then and I wouldn't have listened, I would have done my same thing. But unfortunately, I think it's one of those lessons that you learn the hard way. That makes sense? Unless you go through it, you're not going to really change, I don't think, or maybe that's just me for being stubborn. And this doesn't just apply if you've got your own business. I would imagine, and I've worked for other people's businesses as well, that it's, yeah, you need to remember to take some downtime for yourself. If you burn out, you're not helping anybody, especially not yourself. And if you're the only one running the business, having nobody else there whilst you're having essentially what is a bit of a mental breakdown is slightly problematic. Sorry, I'm shake, 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 just to make sure that everything is as level as it can be. I might not go all the way up to the lip just because I want this to have a bit more space when it's growing. But yeah, it's doing well. I'm dropping everything everywhere. That's a future memo problem. It's not a right now memo problem. But, and I wonder how many people are doing repots at this time of the year, because I know you're not technically meant to, and I know most of us don't care if we're technically meant to or not. We still do it. But I put that order in for this big bag of the Soil Ninja Anthurium mix about a week or two ago, I think. I can't remember now. And I swear they must have thought, what are you doing? Why are you the only one doing this? You know, you're not meant to be doing this right now. And I'm just not meant to is a strong word. If it works for me, it works. I don't care. So, ta-da-da! It's not looking the bestest thing in the world because the actual plant itself wasn't looking the bestest thing in the world. But let's see how this goes. And do you want to laugh? These are the drip trays that I have. And this the pot. Ta-da! It don't fit. But I'm going to have to balance it somehow. The holes are underneath, so that should be fine. And that should be enough. Because otherwise I'm going to have water dripping everywhere. And I'm not going to be taking this trough planter out every time to water. That way lies madness. So no. But yes. Right. Let me put that down. Sippy, sippy. What shall we do now? Shall we do the moss pole? I think we shall. I'm trying to see, because this moss pole is going to be too big. Way, way, way too big. Is it? Are these the shorter ones? I don't know. They're all the same. Oh, this is shorter. Is that maybe too short? That is too short. Damn it! I've got another plant that I can use for that one, so that's fine. Are these the same size? I don't know. So I had two different sizes at some point. No, I think they are. I think they are. Are they? Yes, they are. Damn it. I might have to make this slightly shorter. But yes. What was I going to say? How tall does that need to be? Actually, it might stay as a whole thing, because let me show you the situ. Because unfortunately I'm not going to unpot the whole plant, but you can kind of see if I bring this down, I'm going to keep, I think, all of this, because if I cut some of it, by the time this grows a bit more, it's going to run out of moss pole almost immediately. So yes, I think that will happen as a whole huge thing. But how am I going to do this? Right, let me go and get some moss. Right, I've got the moss now, a big bag of moss right here. And anybody else get this with moss? Like, does anybody else like the smell of moss? I don't know if I'm weird for liking that, but there's something very, very therapeutic about the smell of moss, as long as it's fresh, obviously. But yeah, and there's something really kind of calming, I think. That's why I think so many of us enjoy repotting, but there's something really calming about getting your hands in soil, getting your hands in kind of growing media, moving things around, because it means that you can just switch off. I mean, I've said this before, but normally the way that I would be doing it, obviously I wouldn't be filming it necessarily. Like most normal people don't film this. But I just put on an audiobook and just get on with it, really. And it's nice to switch off. Does anybody else get this when you get interrupted when you're doing plant chores? And it's just like, can you just, for like 5-10 minutes, go. This is a me time. This is me time. We can have a chit chat when I'm done. I guess some people probably enjoy having somebody around when they're doing this. It just depends on your personality type. I've kind of said this before. I think a lot of people assume that I'm a bit more of an extrovert, and I can be at times, but I'm very much a homebody. I like my downtime and my me time. I'm one of 3 children. We are kind of very much a blended family. So within my immediate family, I am the only child, if that makes sense, because my parents were previously had other spouses, and they got divorced, and I've got siblings from either side. But because of that, and because my siblings are older than me, there's at least 12 or 16 years different, depending on the sibling, between myself and them. We never really all lived in the same house at the same time. Did I put this the wrong way around? Yes, I did. And because of that, I think my attitude for a lot of things is more that of an only child, and whatever that might mean. Oh, did I just do all of that for no reason? Yes, I did. So for me, my downtime and my personal time is important, and that's how I recharge. You might not be the same. You might need other people to recharge. And I'm curious if anybody kind of figured this out about themselves maybe a bit more during the pandemic when we all had lockdowns, because I found it quite an interesting time generally then, not just for myself, but kind of noticing how people reacted to it in different ways. And I'm not talking about the tragedies of COVID, but more the isolation, I think, is the word that I'm looking for there. So I truthfully thought I was very much an extrovert, and I knew that I had like introverted qualities, and I kind of enjoyed my own kind of company. But I thought my baseline was more kind of I recharge from other people. But actually, for me, it was a blast. It was great. I didn't have to deal with anybody. It was also very freeing. Like me being very much into kind of fashion, and I think you've all kind of noticed I like kind of playing around with clothes and accessories and things like that. But I've become less obsessive about it than when I was younger, or even just before the pandemic. And I think it was mainly because I didn't have to be out and about. And I know fashion needs to be a personal thing. You don't need to do it for other people. I understand that. But I think to a certain point I was, because I took great pleasure. I was a person that was just like, you will never catch me dead in like tracksuits and kind of athleisure and all of these things. I'm just like, I find it horrendous. I live in this stuff now. I do the COVID kind of phone calls still where I am wearing my tracksuit bottoms and a shirt and I'm on a call and I'm looking professional, you know? Or in the summer in shorts. I think most of us do this at this point. But what I found quite interesting during COVID is a lot of people that I assumed were introverts and they weren't going to be that fussed about not having that human interaction all the time were the ones that really struggled. I found it so interesting. I know a lot of people that I 100% consider introverts, and they struggled the most by not being able to go out and not being able to interact face to face with other people. And a lot of the people, including myself, who I thought needed that in order to thrive, did all right in the pandemic, just being stuck at home and just going, oh, fine, I'll just get on with my own thing. I found that so interesting, so interesting. And I think the pandemic generally is going to teach us a lot of things about human behavior that we maybe hadn't thought of before. So for instance, with like how it's going to affect children. And if you've got kids or grandkids and you're kind of noticing stuff right now, I'm just really curious how it's going to affect the younger generation that wasn't able to start forming some of those bonds face-to-face with their peers. And I just thought about the people that were also at like their first year or two of university and they couldn't do the university things and go a bit wild and all these things, or people or young kids that are going from, I don't know what it's called in America, but I think the way that I know it is elementary school into high school. So they're turning into teenagers. That's a very specific part of like somebody's kind of somebody growing up, basically, and then not being able to interact with that in that way. I'm just curious on what lasting effects it's going to have. The other thing that I found quite interesting, and can you tell I'm talking about all the random topics? This is kind of like, what's it called in the literary thing? Stream of consciousness, there we go. If you spend any time online, and I do because of my work, but I also enjoy spending some time online, you'll notice, especially if you're on TikTok, you'll notice that there's a lot of generational arguments. The Gen Zers and the millennials and the Gen Xers and the boomers, and they all, on the face of it, they all hate each other. And the Gen Zers, there's a lot of hate that gets flung their way from the older generation, including some of the millennials at times, and I think I'm technically a millennial, where they're like, why are you like this, and why are you different than the rest of us? And I think we've all had that from our senior generations, the people older than us, or the previous generation to us, over the years, and I think it's just more prevalent now, or it's more obvious now because people are chatting about it online and it's been done at like a massive level. But really interesting, and I think it was on TikTok, and it was a lady who is a therapist, and she made a very valid point about something that a lot of us forget and we've never experienced about that generation. And it really resonated with me, and I'd never thought about that, but she's probably right. Which is that they are the first, I don't think the only generation, I think the younger generations are still going to have the same issue. The first generation to not be able to escape their bullies. And as somebody who was bullied throughout most of my schooling years for several different reasons. And I think at this point, most people realize that one point or another, everybody got bullied. The majority of people got bullied. So that's, I think, why people are so much more aware of it, and they kind of want to avoid it right now. But they were the first generation where the bullying didn't stay at home. And it's only when she described it like this, and I'm just like, oh. Because think about it, for like millennials and the older generations before that, you could get bullied at school, and I'm talking if you were bullied at school, not at home, but say you were bullied at school and you would go back home, you at least had that afternoon and that evening and the weekends to not have to deal with your bullies. With the Gen Zers, with everything being online, and you can see some of this, and people are kind of talking a bit more about this, their bullies follow them on their phones, because they might be getting bullied at school, but they're bullied online. They were bullied online all day and all night, basically. So that is shocking. I mean, can you imagine for like the older generations, like how bad it was? I'm curious if there's any Gen Zers that watch my channel. I think most of my audience tends to be slightly older. But is this true? Is this something that you've experienced? And if so, I'm really sorry. I really am. And I'm not pitying you, if that makes sense, but that really must have sucked, basically, because, yeah, like, we all took it for granted, the fact that we could go home and the bullying stops. You don't have to deal with it. But having something like that and not being able to escape it when you've got home, that is something intense there, and something that I think a lot of us need to remember and maybe have some sympathy, because that's not easy. That's not easy. Getting bullied generally is not easy, but having to deal with it 24 hours kind of a thing all the time, that must have been horrendous. So I truly am sorry that you had to go through that, and I'm hoping that we as humans find a way to deal with that so future generations don't have to deal with that. I don't know, I'm hopeful that the younger generations maybe are a bit less like that, but I don't know. Sorry, we're talking about all the random topics today. I was going to say I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry, because I did try to warn you that this is going to be one that we just chat about things, and it's taking our minds off things and being able to kind of think about other random things, even if it just means chatting shit. Right, let me get some plant ties because a moss pole is done. And I actually need to probably put in some janky support sticks so it doesn't wobble too much. And because I didn't plan ahead, I don't have that much of the plant ties that I need for this. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. It will be fine. But yeah, sorry, this is a bit that needs a bit of focus so I can kind of get the janky support stick in. I've just done this before, and I can link at the top my kind of the way that I do my moss poles. It's not that exciting. I think it's how a lot of people might do their moss poles at this point. I do not claim that it's mine, and if it was somebody else who did it first, then power to them. I consider this my referral to their video rather than mine. I don't claim this is mine. Right. Should I maybe leave that one in and get the rest of them in? Whoa, whilst I drop everything. Is this going to break? Is this going to break? No. Wonderful. Ta-da's. Very good, very good. Very good, very nice. Right. Let me get a janky support stick behind the new moss pole as well, just so that I've got a bit of extra stability there. And now, getting this tied up. And the problem with these things, always, is they end up becoming so top heavy that you need to give it a cache pot. And I really don't want to with this one at the moment because I need the soil to dry out a bit more. But let's see. Anybody else do the muttering to themselves whilst they're doing things? I do that all the time. Is it they always say it's the first sign of madness? But yes. Right, there we go. Phew. Okay. That is one on. And of course, all of the aerial roots are on the side where the moss pole isn't. Do I need to shift that around? No, you know what? I'm gonna leave it as is. It will be fine. Yes, a little update from the girls, if anybody's interested in the chickens. They are doing well. I currently have only got one of the Brahmas that is laying, but obviously we're in the kind of depths of winter. Also, this is great. I am filming this the day after the winter solstice. Roll on the longer days, because anybody who lives in the northern hemisphere and high up in the northern hemisphere knows how bleak some of these winter days are, where it goes dark at 4 p.m. and it doesn't get light until much, much later in the morning. And you're just like, can we just maybe have some daylight, please? This is a bit much. But yeah, it's nice when you kind of pass that landmark. Anybody else kind of get a bit excited when that happens, or is it just me? My best friend, who ironically enough now lives on an island in Scotland, she always struggled a lot with this, and you can visibly see her get like almost get brighter the moment that the clocks, not clocks, but the moment that the winter solstice was kind of over and the longer days were on their way. And conversely, you could also see her get noticeably more down on herself in the summer solstice when the days are starting to get shorter again. And I'm just like, but it's summer and the days are still long. And it's just like, yeah, but I know what's about to happen. And I'm just like, fair enough, fair dues. Like, power to you. You feel that a bit more significantly than the rest of us, I understand. But yeah. Also, for the people that are celebrating the holidays. If they want to share what they do in their culture, please do show down below. I'm always curious to see, and obviously I keep saying holidays instead of Christmas because I know that it's not just Christianity, it's a whole bunch of religions that have some festivities that are happening around this time of the year. So I think it's only fair to include as many people as possible. So yes, it is in. It is a wobbly. It's not that wobbly. This is a lot more stable now than it was before, but I'll show you kind of what it looks like up close, and you can kind of see what I've done there. Hopefully, this will do a lot better. Sorry, not mean a crotch shot there, but yeah, hopefully this will do a lot better. And I think I've got one more thing that I want to repot, and let me just grab that. I also had to change the battery of the camera because it's about to die, but I am going to get something out of my prop box. Anybody want to see how horrendous my prop box is and how overgrown the moss is? I swear there's plants in here as well. There is an obliqua that's doing quite well in the little corner here, but I'm not going to touch that one just yet. This one that was doing well is less so now. But what I do want to repot today, and I think it's finally, and I want to do this without breaking all of its roots. Ugh. And this is the problem with just having moss growing wild in this, because it's really difficult then to get some plants out without disturbing all of the roots from all of the plants, and without snapping some of them. Come on, let's do this. You can do it. Oh, there was a bit of a snap there, but I think we're good. Don't know what stick that is from, but that might have been something I was trying to root out that has obviously rotted somewhere in the bottom of all that. That's doing okay, that's doing okay. I don't know if I'm going to do the obliqua as well. I should really move the obliquas out of here and just get them onto some growing media. Yeah, you know what? Let me do the obliqua as well. Whilst I'm here, and whilst I've got this fresh in my memory right now, without ruining all of its roots. Oh, wow. Oh, and it's got a runner in here as well. Hysterical. Where's the runner going? Or is this a runner from something else? It might have been a runner from something else. Wow. That really was a runner from something else. Maybe that was from one of the other, wow, from one of the other obliquas. Has it got enough rootage? It does, I think. I'm trying to get some of the moss off. I don't know why I never thought about this, and I think I saw this on... Oh, why am I forgetting the name? She's been a YouTuber, planty YouTuber for years now. I am going to kick myself for this. I will add the name at the top there. Wow, I'm forgetting. No disrespect, I really, really love this content creator. She's recently got chickens as well, I think, recently. I don't know how recent it is. Hayley. Oh. It's not Hayley. Oh, this is going to bug me. It's fine. I'll add it at the top. But she was showing how she was doing her propagations. And I don't know why I never thought about this, but she does little individual cuppies within this, and then at least the roots are contained. And I think she was doing this because she sells them, but I'm just like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I might actually cut this runner off and leave it in there, actually. See if I can get some more obliquas coming through. Is this another one? Is that another little runner? But yeah, that's fine, that can stay there. This one has got some roots, so that should be fine. And let's get my Anthurium luxurians out, which has finally got a decent level of roots after it kind of rotted away. And it's got some decent leaves. Has it got some pups as well? Has it got a pup? It's got a pup, it's got a branch. That's cool. So that is hopefully going to do it better for me this time around, and hopefully I don't kill it and get cocky about it and just go, look at how well it's doing, when everybody else is struggling. So, because, you know, what is the expression? Pride comes before the fall. That's the one. Right, let me put the lid back on and move this back to where it is, and let's continue with the repot. Okay, move that out of the way. So I've got my 2 clear pots with holes. Have I cleaned them? No. Am I going to clean them? No. There's not that much algae on these, it's fine. One of them is a slight bit cracked, but it's fine. It's called more airflow. It'll be fine, it'll be okay. But yeah, it's kind of looking back on the year in terms of plants at least, rather than me just talking about random things. Have I had any big surprises this year? I don't know. The surprise is that I moved a lot of my plants out of semi-hydro, which I wasn't truthfully expecting to do quite so early, but they've done okay. They've done really, really well. I was surprised how well they actually did from being moved out of semi-hydro. And to be fair, I've said this in my previous semi-hydro videos, and I think I've done a playlist, I'll add it at the top there, because I know a lot of people come to me for semi-hydro. And do I still believe it works well? Yes, it does. Does it fit my needs these days? No. So there is a time and a place, and when I needed it, it did me proud. It did me really, really well, and it actually helped me, and I've said this before, it helped me keep their size down. So that was a relatively easy repot for that one. So that's another little Monstera obliqua. The fact that we've got multiple obliquas and multiple different propagation boxes now, it still tickles me crazy considering how difficult this plant was to find for such a long period of time. And actually, yes. I'm going to restrict your roots a bit because I kind of want you to not rot. And this is me talking to the luxurians, by the way, because... But anything that specifically that I learned this year, coming into the winter basically, was I did the thing that I learned from last year, which was massively reduce the watering quite early on, because before I used to literally wait until winter to reduce the watering. This year it was kind of like, right, we're in the 1st to 2nd week of September, you're watering for all of the plants. It might still be warmish, it might be sunny-ish. You're all getting reduced pretty much almost down immediately to the winter watering schedule. I have had so little losses this year in terms of plants, like losing entire plants in relation to other years. So I'm so glad that I learned that lesson. And if you take away something from this video, it's not meant to be educational necessarily, that would be it. So kind of really start putting back on the watering. It worked for me, hopefully it would work for you. But then I've enjoyed anthuriums this year a lot, and I know that a lot of people have issues with anthuriums because everybody's always doing anthuriums, and it was really interesting to see the videos that I was talking about trends, and I didn't expect so many people to have really, really, really strong opinions about that, and I don't know why. That kind of makes sense. It would be a video that people would have a lot of very strong opinions about it one way or another, but it's interesting how many people I think are either over variegation or never were truly into variegation, and they're quite happy on the fact that there's less and less talk of variegated plants this year, and they're really appreciating the kind of green plants. And I am with you on that one. I don't hate variegation, I still quite enjoy variegation at times, but I will say that it is, I understand. I just didn't realize there was so many people that were kind of gung-ho against it. And they're quite happy for the trend of variegated plants to kind of start dying a bit of a death, which, as I said, I understand. It's not for everybody. They can be quite challenging. Some people want plants as they would be from nature. I get it. I truly, truly get it. But yes, oh my God! The luxuriance is finally potted up. This took forever to reroot, but it basically had, I think this was a wet stick when I put it in. There was not a single leaf and not a single root. And every other wet stick propagation I've done, even with anthuriums that had multiple nodes on them, have all rotted in there and I've had to take them out. This did well. Oh. And this what happens. There's a slug. Right, off you go. You need to not be in there. Thank you very much. You can beggar off. But it's done well. I'll deal with the slug in just a moment. But those are the things that I've kind of learnt. definitely reducing the watering. I enjoy anthuriums. I'm surprised by how many people dislike variegated plants. Surprised, but yeah, I was a bit like, ooh, okay, I did not realize that this was a bit of a thing for a lot of people. I understand it, I really do. But I think the big thing that I've learned this year, more so in the winter, versus previous years, is the importance of having plants, and I've done a whole video on kind of higher altitude plants, but the importance of getting plants in your care that do better in the winter. They might look a bit in the summer, but they really come into their own. The Anthurium corrugatum, I think, there's a couple of my orchids that are cooler type orchids. They really come into their own in the winter months. And the reason why I say this is a good thing, and I'm happy that I've learnt that, and I'm happy that I have this, and I encourage a lot of you to do something similar, at least 1 or 2 plants. For the basic level, because again, self-care, this is a lot of self-care, and I know a lot of us kind of almost recharge in the spring and summer because we see all of this growth and it's just like, look at everything kind of exploding in growth around me and all of these things. And winter's a bit of a downer because it's just like nothing is doing very much, things are surviving or things are struggling. Having 1 or 2 of your plants that are just like, OMG, it is winter, I am loving life. Look at me thrive. So cool, so cool. It's like a little light in the darkness to kind of go, but everything else might be struggling, but look at this is doing so well. And it does, because it's happiest during those colder, darker months. So I think that is a big learning thing from this year, really. And I don't know if there's anything else like major that I've kind of learnt this year. So maybe some resolutions potentially for the next year. Hopefully I want to do a few more events so I can kind of meet all of you. I really enjoy going to some of these events. That anybody who knows roughly where I live in the UK in relation to anywhere else in the UK, it's a pain in the bum to get anywhere. But I always try to make as much of an effort as I can because I find it really cool to be able to kind of interact with you face to face. I also know that I've got a lot of American audiences. I've got audiences from all over the world, but I know I've got a huge base in America and a lot of Canada as well, so hi to everybody, not just them. I have been thinking about this and I'm hoping dog care might be the issue and being able to kind of leave. I'm hoping to visit the States at some point soonish. And if I do and I can get somewhere and maybe we can all do a meetup. I know the US is huge and there's so many different states and it's a truly huge country. But if I was to go anywhere, is there somewhere, like if you're thinking about it, I'm talking specifically to people in the US, maybe Canada if they want to like travel down. Is there anywhere specific that I could go to? Would it be better for me to go somewhere in the middle of the States and everybody comes there, or some of the bigger cities or the coastal cities and people come there? I don't know, and so they can kind of, I'm not saying that anybody's going to make all that effort just to come and see me. I'm assuming they're going to try and time it so they do other things as well. But yeah, it'd be nice to meet some of you as well, like not just the people in the UK. But it's, the logistics of it is different, and I'm trying to think of how to do it in the best way. So if I'm going to be there and I can meet some people, I can meet as many people as possible where I'm at, if that makes sense. But yeah, so let me know down below if you watch this. As I said, there's a lot of people that are probably not going to watch this because they're too busy celebrating the holidays. That's fantastic. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I need to repot or fix at the moment. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there's a list as long as my arm of things that I need to do. Some of them might not be done on video, but yeah, I think that's the majority of what I wanted to do. So does anybody else do that when you're just sitting there going, I need to do things? And you know, when you're going around and caring for your plants, and it's like, well, the next time I sit down, I need to do A, B, C, D, definitely. And if you haven't done a list, you're just like, what was those A, B, C's that I needed to do? And you end up only doing the A, maybe. Yeah, it's one of those. I don't know. I do need to do some plant care. This is a perfect time, and I'm assuming a lot of you are doing the same thing, and it's just like, I've got some time off. I'm going to spend some time with my plants and not have to rush, because, again, it depends on people's collections, but my one, I still have a relatively sizable watering time slot, even in the winter, in the morning, and that's usually wake up, have my coffee, take Duke for the walk, deal with the chickens, come back, do the watering, possibly if I've got some time, jump in the shower in the morning, otherwise I'll do it in the evening. These days, because of my pre-diabetes as well, and by the way, for anybody who's interested, that is doing a lot better. I've got a continuous glucose monitor. I know I don't need it because I'm not at that extreme stage just yet, but I just wanted to monitor for myself so I can kind of understand what's affecting me. But I've done really well. I've done really well. Like, made some significant dietary changes, which was impressive considering that what I used to eat before is what they recommend you eat if you've got diabetes, which is a healthy Mediterranean diet. But yeah, I made some changes that made help. Ironically enough, the biggest thing for me was exercise. So I try to do about 30 minutes of HIIT exercise every day now, which seems to have done really, really well. So I'm hopeful in May when I go for my 1-year test that I will be out of the pre-diabetic zone, which would be lovely. But yes, sorry, so there's a lot of things in my day that I need to do. So actually, I don't ever really get to enjoy it other than the weekends when I've got a bit longer, which I'm assuming is the same with everybody else. So when I have time like this, it's really cool because I'm just like, leave me alone. I'm going to put my audiobook, and I'm probably going to finish an audiobook, and I'm going to be in here for the next 4 to 5 hours, and I am going to be like, what's the expression in English? Like a pig in shit. It's going to be me with my hands in some form of soil, just living my best life, essentially. But I'm assuming that might be the same for everybody else. But yeah, I think I'll wrap it there. A little note before I leave you: if you are struggling during this kind of holiday season, remember, you are important, you are valid, and you are loved. There are people out there that will definitely, if there's nobody else, there is us and everybody else in the comments. Don't let it affect you too much. I know the holidays can be stressful, even if you've got a lot of family around you. That might be the problem. We all forget as adults when we move away from home that you don't have to deal with family on an intense level like you do when you were a kid growing up, and having to redo that for a few days during the festive season is a bit much. So yeah, try to stay positive if you can. I know it can be challenging at this time of the year. And try to do things like this, mindfulness, put an audiobook in, put some music on, get a nice drink, do some repotting, block out the rest of the world and zen out. And hopefully that will help you get through it. And the little tip that I would have is if any day gets too big and you know that maybe on the big holiday day that you've got, that you know that it's going to be a challenging day throughout the day, maybe keep like 2 or 3 little plants that you need to repot. Don't repot them all at the same time. Repot one at a time and just go, you know what, excuse me, I need to go and do something for the next 10 to 15 minutes. It's very urgent. And repot one plant. Do that one. You've got a few more that need repotting. Go back and deal. And then if it gets a bit too much again, excuse yourself again and do that. Trust me, then at least it gives you even 10 to 15 minutes of calm and peace. Will definitely be of use and helpful further down the line. At least I think it would be. But yeah, remember to try to enjoy yourself if you can during this period. And yeah, I shall probably speak to you all very soon. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day and possibly rest of the holidays. I'll see if I can get one more video out before the new year, but no promises. I'll see how busy things and how busy life can get. But yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day.